So the plan was to go to Caserta Palace today. The train was on strike, the bus never came, so I'm just gonna go to the Herculaneum Park, or I'm gonna try to go and see if I can make it. It's getting a little warmer, but so you gotta make sure when you're in Naples, you gotta take the Circumvesuviana train, and that's the one that takes you to Herculano. It's also the one that takes you to Pompeii. It's a special line for it. There's no automated machine. You have to buy it from a person. And here we are at Herculano, and now I'm gonna walk down. This path all the way down to the Herculano or Herculaneum Archaeological Park. Okay, we walk down that street. I've heard there's a lot of cafes on the way, but I've heard they're very expensive, so I haven't tried it. And this is where you enter. Front. So unlike Pompeii, 79 AD, that's when Mount Vesuvius burst. Unlike Pompeii, Herculaneum was like a seaside town. It was known for villas, and it was more of a resort-like of a place for the Romans instead of just like a large town. So it's smaller, but the houses were bigger, and they're better preserved here because it was closer to the explosion. So this was just covered in molten lava, whereas Pompeii was covered in lava later, but this was the pyroclastic flow, and Pompeii was covered in ash. The really cool thing is you have this ancient Herculaneum, which was buried in molten lava, metal-like molten lava. The sea's in the background. We're gonna visit this park. You can see it's not as crowded as Pompeii, and it's really well preserved. You can see the houses and everything. And there's a modern day town right next to it. The thing is, we can see the sea over there about half a kilometer away, but the sea used to be here, and this used to be the harbor. Lava flow came down. It preserved this boat completely without oxygen. So all the wood was preserved. Not to mention all the people that died. All preserved where they died. You know, this is a 2,000-year-old boat. The special thing about this town is that you can see that there's several levels of stories preserved, and that's because of the lava flow. You don't get that in Pompeii. These are villas, seaside villas. So you can see these really awesome columns with the brickwork. I mean, this is 2,000-year-old stuff right here. You don't see a lot of this in the world. They have a beautiful courtyard, more pillars, and you can see right behind us, that's the new town. What's amazing to me is this, even this paint was preserved. I mean, the fact that there was a volcano here and buried this, and you can still see the red paint. It's just, and you can even see that painting. It's called the House of the Skeleton, probably because that painting looks like a skeleton. Preserved tile. Look at this mosaic. This is a cool place. This is called the Pompeii, which I think means hot place. But this was like a restaurant, and people would apparently not eat midday meals at home, and they would just come here, and this is where the food would be cooked, and they would eat here. And there's a back room, and apparently they excavated some more ampulae and stuff here, and this is where people would just come, and they would buy their food, and they would come eat here. As we explore the city, only 5 acres of it or so have been explored. I believe that the entire size of the town is about 20 acres or so. So there's a lot more here that hasn't been discovered yet. And again, they've been digging here for 300 years. I'm just looking at closed off houses behind me. It's a really cool place. I mean, I hope this video kind of shows you and highlights that it's a really awesome place to visit. So, you know, if you have very limited time in Naples and maybe you can't get tickets to Pompeii, you can just come here instead. Or if you have more time in Naples, then maybe you can go to Pompeii and come here. But I definitely would not skip this place. Oh, these are the houses of the rich people. You can see that there's decorations on the wall there. Magnificent columns. Well, they're big columns. I think this would be a pool, and a really cool sign of that is that there's height there. And you can see that it drains the water from this room over to that pool. And it's just the high archways, second pool, how intricate and large this area is. You can see the wood is carbonized under high temperatures. It's a temple originally built for emperor worship. There's a picture of Zeus. A picture of the king. This was the Augustine College with these large archways that were heavily decorated. There are many statues here that are still in the Naples Archaeological Museum, which we will go visit. It opens up into this large boulevard, whereas before we were on these smaller side streets. And again, it's very intricate here. For a town of only 4,000 people, they sure did build large buildings. Possibly the shop of a blacksmith with a statue that was still being repaired. The shop also has the original wood loft. Here we have a walkway that's lined with pillars. Originally I thought maybe it's because they had archway here, but if you look at this, there's a balcony jutting out, I think, from every house, and then you can see these holes, and I think these holes were wooden support beams, and so this entire row of houses would have had balconies on both sides. Just well-preserved mosaic floors. Here we have the women's baths. Outside you have seating. Inside you have this incredible mosaic flow. There's this place Triton, which I believe is a Roman god replacement for Poseidon. Amazing barrel arches. They have shelves along here for storing your clothes. And this would be the warm room. But then you go through this and this would be the hot room. And here you would have a furnace that would make this room hot, and this marble bath. The baths lead out to this outside courtyard, which I guess would be like a relaxing time after you're done taking a bath. This is a clothes shop, and as you see this thing, it's a press for ironing clothes. So you would put your clothes in there, and this thing would press down and iron them. We have a large house called the Wooden House with the second floor and roof preserved. Skylight. And apparently this was a place where there was many shops. You have central room, you have a fountain, and then each of these little side entrances might possibly have been a shop. Another really cool house with another skylight and a bronze statue. Here we have the mosaic house, and I wish I could show it to you, but it's closed. But it's this really cool house that has this mosaic inside. But the cool thing about it is that this is the only house in this entire region that is basilica-like in its structure, with side rooms in a basilica-like structure. So everything you see behind us, this entire cliff wall, was formed 2,000 years ago by that volcano. Otherwise, that right there was the ocean. This right there was the marina. And you can see that this road goes down into the old harbor and marina. What I think is really special about this place is, imagine the archaeologists that were digging through this. I mean, they started digging here 300 years ago, and they've been digging and digging and digging. And every time, like, you know, I'm walking around and I'm like, oh, look, cool mosaic, cool tile, etc. But these guys had to dig through like molten metal like rock just to find these cool spots and like, wow, okay, like imagine their excitement when they found a mosaic or a tile or anything like that, or like a preserved room. It's so interesting that this house, instead of a mosaic, had this grid pattern with the tiles on the floor. You can see them kind of laid out in a pattern. A central pool, another skylight. And can you believe I'm walking on this patterned tile from 2,000 years ago, and I'm walking on it. It's incredible. Look at that. It's an old sign. There was a line to get into this house with this back garden. It looks pretty similar to the other houses, so I don't know why there was a special line here. It is quite a large house with several rooms. A very beautiful large atrium with mosaic tiles again, and a central pool. And again, a skylight roof. This is one of the 2 bakeries in the town. I believe those are millstones, but I could be totally wrong about that. Apparently there were some stucco phalluses to protect the place from the evil eye. Could not find those. Maybe they're in the museum now. This looks like another restaurant. Those are all pits where they would keep the warm food. This kind of cavernous area is yet to be more excavated, but there's a statue of a hydra here. This whole thing used to be a fish breeding pond. And this whole entire complex was a sporting area. Under these huge trees, they're just quiet, relaxing pomegranate orchard. You know, I never even knew what pomegranate trees look like or flowers look like. I have a pomegranate tree. It's never flowered. Another area that had a line. Second floor balcony. Opens up to this atrium, a mosaic floor, and a central garden. Interesting sculptures.
In that moment, he kills his.
Now that we've seen the Herculaneum, we've still got our free Sunday, okay? So I can still go see another monument for free. So I'm gonna head over to the Archaeological Museum. Rick Steves has got an excellent tour where he gives you an audio guide throughout the entire museum. It lasts about an hour. I've got 3 hours till it closes, so hour audio tour, another hour of wandering around on my own, and I think I should be good.